Will you join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
At this time, I'd like to introduce some of our guests this evening. First of all, I'd like to introduce 3rd District Congressman John Bozeman and his wife Kathy. John. And we'll hear from more from Congressman Bozeman here later on in the program. Next, I'd like to introduce Sub Force Master Chief Jeff Garrison and his mother, Faye. United States Submarines Veterans Central Region Director Carl Schmidt and his wife, Bonnie. United States Submarine Veterans Central District 1 Director Ray Weavers and his wife, Barbara. And most important, I'd like to introduce all of the World War II submarine veterans and their families in these 3 tables. Please. At this time, it's not in your program, but, and it's a surprise, I'm going to ask Chuck Hicklin to come up here. Leave your camera there, Chuck. Come up here. Just come on up here. There is an organization that exists in United States submarine veterans called the Holland Club. And in order to be a member of the Holland Club, or eligible to be a member of the Holland Club, you had to qualify in submarines at least 50 years ago. And this evening, what I would like to do is read the membership certificate for Charles R. Hicklin, who qualified in 1943, 66 years ago. I know that because I was born in 1940. That was an easy one.
Just an old boy.
Let me read the certificate. United States Submarine Veterans Holland Club membership presented to Charles R. Hicklin. Whereas, having been designated qualified in submarines for more than 50 years and a member in the United States Submarine Veterans in good standing for the period required, the U.S. Submarine Veterans is extremely proud to bestow upon you membership in the Holland Club. Your induction into the Holland Club is testimony of your years of honorable and faithful service to the United States Navy and the U.S. Submarine Force. Given this 10th day of October, 2009, Chuck qualified in submarines on the USS S-12, which was SS-117, in 1943. Chuck, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a long time ago, and I was 18 years old, and I talked to some of my fellow submariners, we were so young that we really treated the submarines as kind of a toy with all that gear and all that surprise, you know. That's the way I did it. Anyway, just get a hold of one of those things. Thank you.
Our next guest speaker this evening is 3rd District Congressional Representative John Bozeman. Please help me in welcoming Representative John Bozeman.
I'm going to grab this because we're going to make some presentations in a second, but it really is an honor to be with you guys tonight. Not too long ago, a year or so ago, Pete and I were visiting, and he mentioned that he was going to do this, and he told me all about the snook base and stuff, and he said, you need to come by sometime and have lunch with us. And I said, well, I'd love to do that, so I did that. And I got at lunch, and I was there and met Pete, and I said, it's so good to be out of Washington, to be around some friendly Arkansas faces, some normal people. And he looked at me and he said, well, we got plenty of friendly Arkansas faces here, but these guys are not normal. To be a submariner, you know, you're not a normal person. But it's such an honor to be here with you, Jeff. We're so proud of you, and we just what you've done is a tremendous accomplishment. And you know, this region, like I say, we're just very, very proud of your efforts and all that you've done, all that you're continuing to do for the men and women that serve. We did introduce the bill, and in the course of doing this, we wanted to honor our World War II vets and then just honor submariners in general. So we had the Congressional Research Group. That's an arm of Congress that does all of our research, you know, finds out about things for us. And it was the first time, nobody's ever done that before. And so it's certainly very, very due. Admiral Sestak, who's in Congress now, former admiral, co-sponsored that with us. And we're going to get that done, hopefully, in the next few months. It's introduced now. It's just a matter of it just takes time to get these things done. I'm on the VA committee. As Pete mentioned, I went down and kind of groveled around and begged them to go ahead and get it moving right away. And I think we'll be able to do that very quickly. The problem that you get into is you've got other people, you know, that are honoring similar things, and it gets to be a problem when you start jumping over them. But we're going to jump over them anyway. So I've got some things that I'd like to give. I also want to very quickly just thank the wives. As Pete mentioned, my dad was in the military for 20 years. I know how difficult it is when mom or dad is away for extended periods of time, and the role that the wives play in keeping the family together. And I had a similar experience as Jeff. I was at a meeting several years ago, not too long ago, and I was talking about the wives and talking about the auxiliaries being the backbone of this particular organization. And that's certainly true of this organization. It's certainly true of Navy wives in general. But on the way home, Kathy looked at me and she said, they're not only the backbone, John, they're also the brains. I couldn't argue with that. Okay, Pete, why don't you help me? I'm going to come around out to the front. First of all, I have a copy of the resolution for the guys. And again, we just thank you so much. We got our greatest generation that we're honoring. We've got Jeff, you know, the current guys that are still in the service, those of you that have retired. And then we've got the current generation that's doing such a tremendous job. And everything I hear, Jeff, is that these young guys might rival you all as the greatest generation one day. But we've got a couple different things. We've got the resolution that we have in Congress right now, okay, that we're working hard to get passed. I've got some nice things that we said about you in Congress over here on this side, okay? And then I have a congressional record that is in the congressional record, so you'll be in there for all time. Let me read this real quick. Madam Speaker, I rise today to commemorate the United States World War II submarine veterans and the important roles they played in the Allied victory. Approximately 3,500 submariners gave their lives to protect the liberties and freedoms of the United States. The United States Submarine Force suffered the highest loss rate of the U.S. Armed Forces during World War II. losing a total of 52 American submarines in battle. The war in the Pacific could not have been won without the brave and selfless efforts of these men. It is also a great honor to be able to attend the decommissioning ceremony for the World War II Submarine Veterans Diamond Chapter, hosted by the USS SUBVETS of the United States Submarine Veterans in Rogers, Arkansas. The recognition of our World War II submarine veterans has been long overdue. I'm pleased and honored to recognize these servicemen who risked their lives for their country and made World War II victory possible in House Resolution 773. I thank Congressman Sestak for his service to our country, for his leadership on this resolution, and encourage my colleagues to co-sponsor this important bill.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Jim Barnes and Jim Stevens, who will conduct the decommissioning ceremony for the Diamond Chapter. Jim and Jim.
And I would be Jim Stevens, this would be Jim Barnes. The U.S. submarine veterans of World War II, having pledged to uphold the Constitution and bylaws of the U.S. submarine veterans of World War II and to perpetuate the memory of the men lost in submarine warfare, be it known to all concerned that the Diamond Chapter is hereby granted this charter on this 20th day of December 1973. You know, decommissioning a ship is not unlike decommissioning a base. To decommission a ship is to terminate her career in service in the armed forces of her nation. A somber occasion, it has little of the elaborate ceremony of ship commissioning, but carries significant tradition. In its modern use, the term paid off is used within some navies as a reference to the crew being given their pay when their service on the ship was complete. Bob, the check's in the mail, okay? Vice Commander Barnes, attention to orders. Vice Commander, make preparations to decommission the Diamond Chapter submarine veterans of World War II.
All right, Captain. Joe Blanchett, Mel Smith, Jim Lemons, Bob White, Chuck Hicklin, Eddie Atkinson, all present accounted for, sir.
Very well. The Diamond Chapter submarine veterans of World War II stands decommissioned. Retire the colors.
You have probably noticed this evening the table in front of the podium here. At this time, I'm going to ask Central Region Commander Carl Schmidt to come up and explain what we have here in front of us. Carl?
Before I go into the ceremony of the POW-MIA remembrance, I would like to take this opportunity as a National Officer of the Submarine Veterans to thank our World War II shipmates. Your sacrifices have made us have the freedoms today that we all cherish in this great country that we live in. To Pete, to Snook base members, thank you for putting on this program this evening. Senator Bozeman, thank you for everything you've done for veterans, and I know you will continue to do that up in the congressional halls in Washington. Jeff, old friend, I'd like to thank your mother personally for teaching you the ethics of the man that you became today. Thank you very much, and thank you, Jeff, for your service to our country. Those who have served and those currently serving the uniformed service of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and internment. Before we close our activity this evening, I will pause to recognize the POWs and MIAs. We call your attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor near the head table. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They were referred to as POWs and MIAs. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with us with their loved ones and families tonight, so we join together and pray our humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. This table is set for one. It's small, symbolic. The fragility of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. Remember. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember. The single red rose in the vase signifies the blood that many have shed in sacrifice to enable the freedom of our beloved United States of America. The rose also reminds the family and friends of our missing comrades and keeps the faith while awaiting their return. Remember. The red ribbon tied so prominently to the vase is remembrance of the red ribbon worn on the lapel and breast of thousands who bear witness to the unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting for our missing. Remember. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. Remember. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. Remember. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us tonight. Remember. The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope that lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to the To the open arms of a grateful nation, remember. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifices. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. Remember.
At this time, I'd like to ask it's terrible to get old. Jim Stevens, Chuck Copeland, Ron Athey, and Lee Osterfeld to come up to the podium and lead us in the tolling of the vote ceremony.
The tolling of the boat ceremony was originally established by the United States submarine veterans of World War II. It is a unique and time-honored memorial service and is in keeping with the finest. In the heart of the ceremony, the names of each submarine lost, along with the fate of its crew, are read aloud as a bell is tolled for each in turn. The tolling of the ship's bell reminds us of the debt of gratitude we owe to both our departed shipmates and to those on active duty who guard our country while serving silently under the sea. In many ways, the tolling of the boat ceremony formally reaffirms to the serving submarine personnel that their current deeds and sacrifices follow in the footsteps of our fellow submariners who precede them. We shall never forget the ultimate sacrifice they made so we can all enjoy the fruits of our freedom. Still, no one close to the submarine service can forget the losses of the USS Thresher, SSN 593, and USS Scorpion, SSN 589, as well as the individuals who gave their lives while serving our country in the submarine service. We honor and remember them as well as this evening. We shall not forget them. We shall now proceed with the ceremony, specifically tolling the 52 submarines that were lost in World War II, since this evening is dedicated to those on eternal patrol and those still with us.
USS Sea Lion, lost on December 10th, 1941 with the loss of 5 men. To prevent her from falling into enemy hands, she was scuttled in Manila Bay after incurring severe bomb damage during the initial Japanese attack.
USS S-36, lost on January 20th, 1942, with no loss of life on her second war patrol. She ran hard aground on a reef and radioed for help. The entire crew was rescued by a Danish ship after they scuttled her.
USS S-26, lost on January 24th, 1942, with the loss of 46 officers and men in the Gulf of Panama on her second war patrol. She was rammed by the USS PC-460 and sunk within seconds. The CO, XO, and one lookout on the bridge were the only survivors.
USS Shark 1, SS-174, lost on February 11th, 1942, with the loss of 59 officers and men on her first war patrol. Shark was the first U.S. submarine sunk by enemy surface craft in the Pacific. She was most likely sunk by depth charges.
USS Perch lost on March 3, 1942 near Java with no immediate loss of life while on her first war patrol. She survived 2 severe depth chargings in less than 200 feet of water by 3 Japanese destroyers. The crew abandoned ship and scuttled her. Of the 61 officers and men taken prisoners, 53 survived the war.
USS S-27 lost on 19 June 1942 when it grounded off of Amchitka Island. She was on the surface in poor visibility, charging the batteries, and drifted onto the shoals. When she could not be freed and started listing, the captain got the entire crew to shore approximately 400 yards away in relays using 3-man rubber rafts. The entire crew was subsequently rescued.
USS Grunion, SS-216, lost on July 30th, 1942 with the loss of 70 crew members while on her first war patrol near Kiska Harbor. She radioed that she had sank 2 sub-chasers and damaged a third but was never heard from again. Her loss remains a mystery.
USS S-39 lost on August 14, 1942 after grounding on a reef south while on her 3rd war patrol. The entire crew was able to get off and rescued by the HMAS Katabuma.
USS Argonaut, SS-166, lost on January 10, 1943 with the loss of 105 officers and men off of Rabaul on her 3rd war patrol. While attacking a convoy, she torpedoed a Jap destroyer who, along with 2 other destroyers, depth charged her. As she tried to surface, the destroyer sunk her by gunfire.
USS Amberjack, SS-219, lost 16 February 1943 with a loss of 72 officers and men on her 3rd war patrol. Off Rabaul, she was attacked by a Japanese patrol plane, attacked by a torpedo boat, and then depth charged by a submarine chaser.
USS Grampus, SS-207, lost on March 5, 1943 with the loss of 72 officers and men on her 6th war patrol. She was lost in the Valais Gulf, sunk after engaging 2 Japanese destroyers.
USS Triton, SS-201, lost on 15 March 1943 with the loss of 74 men. She was sunk north of the Admiralty Islands during a fight with 3 Japanese destroyers. Triton was the first boat to engage the enemy in December 1941 off of Wake Island, sinking 9 ships, 1 submarine, and a destroyer.
USS Pickerel, SS-177, lost on April 3, 1943 with the loss of 74 officers and men while on her 7th war patrol. She was lost off Honshu Island. The exact cause of her loss has never been determined, but her op area contained numerous minefields.
USS Grenadier, SS-210, lost on April 22, 1943 near Penang with no immediate loss of life. She was on her 6th war patrol. While stalking a convoy, she was spotted by a plane in tow. While passing 130 feet, the plane dropped a bomb, causing severe damage. She was lodged on the bottom at 270 feet, and the crew spent hours fighting fires and flooding. When she surfaced, she had no propulsion and was attacked by another plane. While she shot down the plane, when enemy ships arrived, the CO abandoned the ship and scuttled the boat. Of the 61 crew members taken prisoner, 57 survived the war.
USS R-12 lost on June 12, 1943 with the loss of 42 men near Key West, Florida during a practice torpedo approach. The cause was probably due to flooding through a torpedo tube. The CO and 2 other men on the bridge survived as did 18 crew members on liberty at the time of the accident.
USS Runner, SS-275, lost on June 26th or July, in between June 26th and July 4th, with the loss of 78 men. Runner was on her third war patrol, probably due to a mine. Prior to her loss, she reported sinking a freighter, a passenger cargo man off the Curls. The boat was last known ship sunk, happened on June 26th. She probably hit a mine or after that date, but before July 4th, when she was scheduled back at Midway.
USS Pompano, SS-181, lost on August 29th, 1943, between August 8th and September 27th, with the loss of 76 men while on her 7th War Patrol. Before being lost, she sank 2 enemy cargo ships. The exact cause of her loss remains unknown, but she probably fell victim to a mine. The boat's last known ship sunk happened on September 25th, so she probably hit that mine or on or after the date before October 5th, when she was scheduled back at Midway.
USS Grayling, SS-209, lost on 9 September 1943 with a loss of 76 men near the Tabala Strait. Grayling was on her 8th war patrol and sank 2 ships before being lost.
USS Wahoo, SS-238, lost on October 11th, 1943, with the loss of 79 men near Leprosa Strait under command of one of the great sub-skippers of World War II, Lieutenant Commander Mush Morton. Wahoo was on her 7th War Patrol. Wahoo had won a Presidential Unit Citation and ranks 5th in the number of enemy ships sunk. She was lost to depth charges dropped by Japanese patrol aircraft.
USS Dorado, SS-248, lost on October 12, 1943, with the loss of 78 men when she was sunk in the Western Atlantic near Cuba. Newly commissioned, she departed New London and was en route to Panama. She may have been sunk by a U.S. patrol plane, thus receiving faulty instructions regarding bombing instructions, restriction areas, or German U-boats that were in the vicinity.
USS Corvina, SS-226, lost on November 16, 1943, with the loss of 82 men when she was sunk just south of Truk. Corvina was on her 1st war patrol and appears she was lost to the torpedoes of a Japanese submarine.
USS Sculpin, SS-191, lost on 19 November 1943 with the loss of 40 men near Truk. Severely damaged by depth charges after attacking an enemy convoy, Sculpin continued to fight on the surface. When the captain was killed, the crew abandoned ship and scuttled the Sculpin. 41 men were taken prisoner, only 21 survived the war. Among those not abandoning the ship was Captain Cromwell, aboard as a potential Wolfpack commander. He rode the Sculpin down, fearing that vital information in his possession might be compromised under torture. For this, Captain Cromwell was posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor.
USS Kaplan, SS-289, lost on December 2, 1943, with the loss of 76 men. She was on her 1st war patrol, but her exact location and cause of loss remain a mystery. She may have been lost to mines or an operational casualty.
USS Scorpion, SS-278, lost on January 5, 1944, with a loss of 77 officers and men in the East China Sea on her 4th war patrol. It is assumed that she was sunk by a mine.
USS Grayback, SS-208, lost on February 27, 1944, with the loss of 80 officers and men on her 10th war patrol. She appears to have been caught on the surface in the East China Sea by a Japanese carrier plane whose bombs made a direct hit. During this patrol, she sank 4 ships totaling 21,594 tons and was tied for 11th in the number of ships sunk.
USS Trout, SS-202, lost on 29 February 1944 with the loss of 79 officers and men on her 11th war patrol. She was sunk by escorts in the middle of the Philippine Basin after sinking a passenger cargo man and damaging another in a convoy. She carried out several notable missions, including carrying over 2 tons of gold bullion out of Corregidor in February of 1942.
USS Telebi, SS-284, lost on March 26, 1944, with the loss of 79 officers and men on her 4th war patrol. It's believed she was a victim of a circular run by one of her own torpedoes. The lookout was the only survivor, and he survived the war as a Japanese prisoner.
USS Gudgeon, SS-211. USS Gudgeon was lost on April 18, 1944, with the loss of 80 men off of Saipan. Winner of 5 presidential unit citations, Gudgeon was on her 12th war patrol, and most likely due to the combined air and anti-surface anti-submarine attack. Gudgeon was the first U.S. submarine to go on patrol from Pearl Harbor after the Japanese attack. On her first patrol, she became the first U.S. submarine to sink enemy warships, picking off the submarine I-173.
USS Herring, SS-233, lost on June 1, 1944, with the loss of 80 men near Musawa Island. Herring was on her 8th war patrol and was conducting a surface attack when a shore battery spotted her and made 2 direct hits on her conning tower and causing her loss. Before being sunk, she had sank a freighter and a passenger cargoman. Herring was the only U.S. submarine sunk by a land battery.
USS Golette, SS-361, lost on June 14, 1944, with the loss of 82 men. On her 2nd war patrol, Golette was apparently lost a battle with an anti-submarine force north of Honshu.
USS S-28, lost on July 4, 1944, with the loss of 50 crew members. She was conducting training exercise off Hawaii with the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Reliance. After S-28 dove for a practice torpedo approach, Reliance lost contact. No distress signals or explosions were heard. 2 days later, an oil slick was found near where S-28. The exact cause of the loss remains a mystery.
USS Roblo, SS-273, lost on July 26, 1944, with the loss of 84 crewmen while on her 3rd war patrol. She struck a mine with about 2 miles off the coast of Palawan. 3 men survived and swam ashore, then imprisoned by the Japanese. Unfortunately, they were put on a Japanese destroyer and lost when that destroyer was sunk.
USS Flyer, SS-250, lost on August 13, 1944, with the loss of 80 crew members while on her 2nd war patrol. Flyer was transiting on the surface when she was rocked by a massive explosion, probably a mine, and sank within less than a minute. 13 survivors, some injured, made it into the water and swam to shore. 8 survived, and 6 days later, friendly natives guided them to a coast watcher, and they were evacuated by the USS Redfin.
USS Harder, SS-257, lost on August 24, 1944, with the loss of 84 men from a depth charge attack by a minesweeper near Bataan while on her 6th war patrol. Harder had won the Presidential Unit Citation for 5 war patrols, and Commander DeLay was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously. Harder is tied for 9th in the number of enemy ships sunk.
USS Seawolf, SS-197, lost on October 3, 1944, with the loss of 102 officers and men when she was sunk just north of Matori by USS Rowell, a destroyer escort. In this tragic error, Rowell mistook Seawolf for a Japanese submarine that had just sunk another destroyer. Seawolf ranked 7th for enemy ships sunk.
USS Escalar, SS-294, lost October 17, 1944, with a loss of 82 men. She was on her first war patrol and most likely lost to a mine somewhere in the Yellow Sea.
USS Shark II, lost on October 24, 1944, with the loss of 90 when she was sunk near Haiyan, the second boat to carry this name during World War II. She was on her third war patrol. Shark was sunk by escorts after attacking and sinking a lone freighter. Compounding the tragedy, it turned out that the freighter had 1,800 U.S. POWs on board.
USS Darter, SS-227, lost October 24, 1944, when she became grounded on Bombay Shoal off of Palawan and was then destroyed to prevent her from falling into enemy hands. The entire crew was rescued by the USS Dace, winner of one Navy unit citation. Darter had sunk a heavy cruiser and damaged another one and went aground while attempting an end around on the enemy formation in hopes of getting in an attack position on a battleship.
USS Tang, SS-306, lost on October 25, 1944, with the loss of 80 men in the Formosa Strait. Tang was on her fifth war patrol. Tang ranked second in the number of ships sunk and fourth in tonnage and had won 2 presidential unit citations. During a daring night surface attack, Tang was lost to a circular run by one of her own torpedoes. 9 of the crew were taken prisoner, including Commander O'Kane, and 5 who had gained the surface from her final resting place 180 feet below. All survived the war, and Commander O'Kane was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor.
USS Albacore, SS-218, lost on November 7, 1944, with the loss of 86 men while she was sunk off northern Hokkaido, winner of 2 presidential unit citations. Albacore was on her 11th war patrol and struck a mine while running submerged near a Japanese patrol craft that had detected her.
USS Growler, SS-215, lost on November 8, 1944, with the loss of 84 men when she was sunk in the South China Sea. Winner of 2 Navy units commendations, Growler was on her 12th war patrol and was lost while attacking a convoy, probably as a result of a depth charge attack or victim of a circular run by one of her own torpedoes.
USS Scamp, SS-277, lost on 9 November 1944 with the loss of 83 men near Tokyo Bay. On her 8th war patrol, she may have been damaged by a mine and was trailing oil, which helped the Japanese coastal defense vessels locate her and destroy her with depth charges.
USS Swordfish, SS-193, lost on January 12, 1945, with a loss of 83 officers and men somewhere near Okinawa on her 13th war patrol. Probably was lost to a mine.
USS Barbell, SS-316, lost on February 4th, 1945, with the loss of 81 officers and men on her 3rd war patrol. Based on Japanese records, she was bombed near the southern entrance of Palawan Passage. The day before, she reported she survived 3 depth charge attacks.
USS Keat, SS-369, lost on March 20th, 1945, with a loss of 87 officers and men at the end of her 2nd war patrol, probably sunk near Okinawa by a Japanese submarine that itself was subsequently lost.
USS Trigger, SS-237, lost on 26 March 1945 with the loss of 91 officers and men on her 12th war patrol. She was lost during the combined attack by Japanese anti-submarine vessels and aircraft. Trigger ranked 7th in total tonnage sunk and tied for 8th in the number of ships sunk.
USS Snook, SS-279, lost on April 8, 1945, with a loss of 88 officers and men. Snook ranked 10th in the total Japanese tonnage sunk and is tied for 9th in the number of ships sunk. She was lost near Hainan Island, possibly sunk by a Japanese submarine.
USS Legato, SS-371, lost on May 3rd, 1945, with the loss of 88 men near the Gulf of Siam. On her second war patrol, she is believed to have been lost to a radar-equipped mine layer. The mine layer was subsequently sunk by the USS Hawkbill 2 weeks later.
USS Bonefish, SS-223, lost on June 19, 1945, with a loss of 85 men when she sunk near Susa, Muskowski. Winner of 3 Navy unit citations, Bonefish was on her 8th war patrol. After sinking a passenger cargoman, Bonefish was subject to a savage depth charge attack.
USS Bullhead, SS-332, lost on August 6, 1945, with a loss of 84 crewmen in the Lombok Strait, while on her 3rd war patrol, when she was sunk by a depth charge dropped by a Japanese Army plane. Bullhead was the last submarine sunk during World War II.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to ask Chaplain Joe Blanchette to come up and give us a benediction, please.
First, I'd like to say and thank you to the Snook base and the help of the Razorback base to put this program on for us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Dear Lord, as we depart this meeting, let us remember our lost shipmates that are still on patrol. Let us remember in our prayers all the service members in harm's way and their wives and families waiting to see them return home. Just like our families and loved ones was waiting for us to return home. USS SUBVETS Inc. will always maintain our creed and maintain our memorials so that it will be always remembered the deaths of our World War II submariners. Father, provide us with a safe return home from here, and let us all remember this get together as long as we live. I know I will. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
This concludes our ceremony this evening, and I want to thank you all very much for joining us. It's a very emotional thing for all of us in the submarine service, and it means a lot to us that you joined us this evening. The ceremony is concluded. Have a safe performance.
ceremony this evening?
Well, I was just moved by it all, and I'm just proud to be here. My husband did 24 years on submarines, so I'm here out of love for him and the duty the time he gave for his country.
Oh, it's great. It's great. I feel like an orphan since we've been let out of our chapter. I'm one of them old World War II jokes. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, as a submarine force master chief, it was an honor to be here tonight to commemorate the decommissioning of the Diamond chapter of our work. First ever in the United States, so I'm glad we got a chance to do it in Arkansas. And anytime I have the opportunity to spend time with the heroes of the submarine force, it just brings me great honor. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thanks.
We're very, very, very happy with the way it was. Nice to meet you. Everybody did a great job, and you know, it's the least we could do to honor these World War II veterans while they're still here to be honored. So, very, very pleased.
I really enjoyed it. I always find these ceremonies touching, and to the point they remind everyone that our job is to remember our shipmates who've gone before us, and our vow is to remember all submariners lost for all time. Anything else?